everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Screenshots. Today we have a very important conversation that we want to have with our guests. So in recent days in our Site Youth Network group, we were talking about identity, and we decided, you know what, let's actually bring it to the screenshot and actually give it life and hear what other young people think about identity, especially identity relating to African youth. So joining me today are two amazing young ladies, and I'm going to let them tell us more about themselves. We'll start with you.
Thank you so much, Melinda, for having us. Good morning. It's morning or afternoon?
It's
afternoon viewers. Morning viewers. My name is Dube and Gugu Hlabangana. I run a magazine called the Climate Premium magazine, and I also run a radio program called The Climate Front on Sky's Metro FM.
Hi, Gugu.
Hi.
Welcome to the Screenshots.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. My name is Angela and Gugu. I'm an environmentalist, volunteer under Africa Voluntary Carbon Credits Market Forum. I'm a volunteer at Green Heart. I'm also a founder of a small youth-led organization called Environmental Friendly Friends Zimbabwe.
Angela, welcome to the show. And ladies, I must be an actor. If I was asked in a show, thing is called Timbali. Melinda was just the thing.
It's just Melinda.
My name is Melinda.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, like I touched a bit on the fact Uguti we had posted on our group that we're all a part of, and Uguti, what is identity these days, and especially relating to young African people? And so I want to pose the question, Uguti, Lina, how would you define your identities? We'll start with one.
Yeah. I think for me, my identity, it's defined as my cultural heritage, number one. And also my personal beliefs, what I believe in, and my values, and also where I come from. I'm African, I'm Zimbabwean, so there's a lot of things that cover up my identity, but those are my three main.
Okay, cool.
Like my personal values and with my community, because there is a saying that it takes a community
To a village to raise a child.
Exactly. Yeah. So Konokwana and then Lama spiritual beliefs that's what I identify as. Yeah.
Alright, so my next question is, have we lost the plot as African youth? Like from where we come from, I know Utisi Awazi, like from way back, we've heard stories from that are passed from generation and generation. We've got history books and we know how we used to be as Africans. And now, obviously, guys, we're no longer the same people that we were. So what do you think about, guys? Have we lost the plot as Africans, especially us as youth? Do we still have that connection to who we were? Or it's okay, so we are the new
Gen Z.
Africans,
Yeah.
or the new Africans. What do you guys think about that?
From a Gen Z's perspective, I feel like we're disconnected culturally. We're disconnected culturally because we've now adopted a westernized culture from America, from whatever we see on TV, MTV, on music videos, even from South Africa. Zimbabweans like to associate themselves with South African soapies, what they see on Generations and whatnot. So we are picking everything from all these countries, and we are kind of making up an identity for ourselves. And it's so different from what we had back then, whereby we were just African, purely African, and it was tribe by tribe. If you're Nguni, if you are, all those other tribes. But now we're kind of mixed.
I feel like Uguti, look as we move away from what we are slowly but kancane because ungakhangela kulabanye abantu abalokhe besayenza uwakudala, kulabanye abantu obabonayo etown ambazi amabizo behamba bezigqokela amabhetshu abo, of which now everyone got a badge, but to see those two unique people would be like, but there are people abalokhe besa nanzelela iculture yethu. Kulabanye abantu abazwayo ukutshela ngemithi ukuthi umuthi lo ngowani or kulabanye abantu futhi abalapha icancer ngemithi yethu yesintu. So yes, of course there is modernization, but there are few individuals abalokhu bebambelele khona ngale, and kulama merits and nama demerits angikhona, but I like the fact ukuthi kulabanye abantu abalokhu besabambelele khona pha. Yeah.
But I don't think bazaba banegi for a while. I don't think they'll still be there in the long run. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I want to which one. Because I liked what you said, Gugu. Ute were picking a few things here and there. We're now creating a new identity, and I don't know how to. I don't know whether I feel like it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. I feel like I'm a bit on the fence because I do believe we need to have a connection to who we are. Because, for example, look at people in Asia. And yes, they are modernized and all that, but they still have that sense of ukuthi bona bangobana. And also, in a way, maybe it's not really such a bad thing. And you know, I think maybe we've been programmed to see modernization is the way to go.
We took modernization in a very wrong way.
Okay, please
I feel like that was injongo yabelungu besizana Africa back then. They wanted to divide and conquer. They had their own agenda, and that agenda was not affiliated to what we wanted. They didn't care what we wanted. They just wanted to be rich and to take up all the land and minerals and go back and make Europe and wherever rich. So the problem that we have is they came with this idea, we adopted it so naively, to the point whereby, yes, we were supposed to be modernized because I need to be in those huts, and maybe we didn't have like the technology that they had back then. Because if you look at that time, they had cars running and the engines and the industrialization and all of that. We hadn't caught up by then. But I feel like we could have done it differently. We could have adopted the right thing. Maybe we could have brought that technology, the right technology, and stopped taking maybe the Western style of talking, you know, if I break you on YouTube, I'm sure someone is commenting right now.
Your accent.
My accent and stuff. There's a lot of things that we missed. We started the right things, chill, almost over it.
I think I would love to support that for sure. The goodness was similar. But also I'm kind of us as Africans, guys, we've got the brains. Look at the great Zimbabwe. It's us. The problem, I think, I would like documentation that takes us back there. What did we do as Africans? I'll go back to our indigenous knowledge systems. Let's look at medicine, guys. They go global north. They are suffering with the cancer and all that, but here in Africa, look at the way I think what we missed is documentation. And if there is a way that we can document those things now, when another and then we try to integrate with the modern technology, just because, guys, we are great. Africans, we are so great. Like, we are so good. We've got the brains. Like, Africans, they are intelligent.
You know what I think? From what Gugu was saying, I think we were supposed to grow at our own pace. It's not like we were not sustainable. We were not growing crops and animals. But I think we were at our own pace. Like, even right now in this modern world that we know, they are light years ahead of us in terms of technology, and we're moving at our own pace. So when it came to colonization, I think that's what it actually put us back. Because it shifted our thinking. Tina, we were right in our own way, and we had our own systems that were working for us. We even had our own forms of amakoti amadali lapha abantu abanjani abakhuluma khona indaba zabo. So lathi we had the systems, but we didn't have the terminology that they brought with them. But lathi anti kwakulo leader, we're not just savages anyway, we had homes. There's a reason why ukuthi people built homes and they were not just dying of umqando landana. So the systems were working. So I think we had to move at our own pace. And maybe had we not been colonized, who knows, guy? But you will never know. I
feel like there's a beauty. If you go to the Amazon, there's some untouched tribes there.
Oh yeah, they are.
Do you know that it's so beautiful? on international platforms whereby they discuss many things, and they come willingly. The leaders come. Recently, in Australia, they were celebrating the anointment of their new queen.
Oh yeah,
of the indigenous tribe. Sorry, not crime. Tribe.
Queen.
Yes, the queen of that tribe, right? I feel like it's beautiful because we can't have everyone on the same level. I think we'll take things for granted if we have everyone on top. Because Putin, America will all be having a World War III all over the world.
It will never
work. And I feel like there's a beauty in I don't know what's the word.
Diversity.
Diversity, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Now let's move on to social media. I mean, we live on our phones, guys. Well, I'm sure, Stacy, we've done so many on our phones today, and it's also an influence on how we are, how we talk, how we address each other. You know, certain slangs that we didn't have before. So, does it also take away from what we are? And really, what are we, guys?
We are confused. I feel like we're confused. Mina, personally, let me tell you my story. I'm a Chindima. Who's that lady?
Chindima.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Yeah, I'm one of them. I was born in South Africa. Question mark around my nationality.
Okay.
But I'm back here, Sabuya, in the early 2000s, and we've claimed our citizenship as Zimbabweans.
Okay.
So when I grew up in SA, I adopted a different culture there. And I remember when I came back, I was in grade 4 and I couldn't speak isiNdebele.
So I had Zulu.
Yes, I was trained in Afrikaans and isiZulu, of which my school wasn't even offering isiZulu. So I'm kind of a broken piece because even most of the time Angela and Gugu isiNdebele sakho straight. It kind of messed me up. I remember one of my teachers in high school was like, your early development was cracked. You were here and here and here and here. So we don't really know who we are. When I came here in Zimbabwe, I didn't know who I was, and I still don't know. I'm learning, and I'm trying to learn. Okay, we come from here and here and here. I'm a Hlabangana, but I don't speak the proper language. Number one, I don't even know my roots like deep down.
Yeah, I think most of us really have lost touch on like can you trace your family lines? Especially, I think most people in Bulawayo who identify as Ndebele, you are forever lost because you know, especially you know, you can understand the language that is being spoken in South Africa, but you are here, and there's this thing that most people like to say, Ndebele people want to act like they're South Africans. And I feel like it's because you understand the language and you can relate to some of those things. But you are not South African. No, like they're not taking you on. They're saying exactly, and which is also fine. We are Zimbabweans, really, that's what we are, and it's also okay. But I feel like sometimes a bit confusing. Where do I come from?
There's a cultural erasure going on.
Yeah, personally, guys, can you just help me? Mfungenza something. Mabangane interested ukuthi ubabe nombani, uzalwa mbani, umama nombani. Labo balendawo lapha bamakhona ukuthi maybe bagcina kwabo khokho. So lami bengizama ukuthi just in case umntanami ngaba curious like I was ukuthi ebuzo ukuthi kanti wena mama uvela ngaphi ungubani ubaba khombani. I wanted to have that family tree. But just because abazali bami labo abawazi. So angazi ukuthi ngizaqalela ukuyibuildela kubogogo adembazi or phambi kwalapha eqalisela khona, because I feel like ukuthi it's important to know your roots.
There's a beauty in knowing where you come from.
I feel like colonialism is a factor on why you don't know or why your parents have a full stop.
Because a lot happened
to trace it back.
Mina, I am very fortunate, and you know, if my mom watches this, and she'll be so shocked because like in my family, in my dad's side of the family, there's this thing that they do like every Sunday of one Sunday every month, and they meet as the family, and they usually discuss our roots to the living ones, abasaphila. They trace our history from back. Give me was just a surname, and then in one meeting, like ukhulu abekhuluma ukuthi no, our Ncube comes because there are different Ncubes, and what our Ncube comes from the Sotho. They're still able to trace that, and they try.
Wow.
Tina, but there's this nanas phone. Yes, Tani Iquini love a suit, Samuri or something. They even have this demos and they keep trying to pass it down to us. Sing a coach.
Yeah.
So I really attend these meetings, and
You should, Gaia. You should.
It's so important because they really want us to know who we are. Because anyone can just say, when we move it. But abantu bangikhona bona who what it was passed down from their past generations, and they kept telling them they can trace their history from far back. And so we are
how old is the oldest?
Right now I don't know how old he is. He's probably he's in his 90s.
Okay,
he's in his 90s. Okay, so we've given like historical context on our identities. Now let's move on to social media. Goals that we see every day online. We want this, we want that. I feel like it also does play a role in diluting our cultural identities.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure that we get from social media. If you look at my hashtag, those goals, couple goals, Lobola squad. In fact, that whole Lobola thing is not our identity.
Lobola is not our identity.
The way we're celebrating it now. If you look at how it is, matching outfits, and the whole, it's like a whole formal wedding, but we never used to do that. It was just a sit down between two families. So I feel like we have changed it a bit. Although I'm very proud that we have retained Lobola because it's a very important cultural aspect of us.
Minimum, maximum price or whatever it is. But what do you think about Lobola though, as a concept?
I feel like it's a beautiful thing because as a spiritual person, what I've been taught is that Lobola is a spiritual connection. It's not just a transaction that we have Niman and the income and whatnot. So amadlos agithi abesikhulumisana emoyeni lapha. So when it comes to Lobola vele, it's no jokes. We have to connect spiritually, and that's going to foster a beautiful marriage and a beautiful future for whoever the two of them that are getting married. But pricing manje sisiba any problem because back then it was just a token. It was regarded as a token. You could even pay one cow and then you work towards, But cut so many, it's on $1 million US.
40
it's now a
you guys
business.
are now educated. You get a degree, the price. You're now paying for
PhD.
What do you think, Angela, about the concept of Lobola?
I think Lobola is a very good thing. Into vele eyayikhona. Tracing vele back kuvele umuntu wayengabe lesithembu but wayehambisa inkomo no matter what. So we can't say ukuthi akumelanga kube le Lobola now or kanjani, but lami ngizama ngepricing khona lapho ukuthi hi guys singabulali bazali singabulali ubhe wami ngokuthi lisithole vele lesisedutsheni and then sosibona umntwana wabantu sokuthiwa 40 cows. We need to build lo muntu lwa. We need to lathi ukuthi sibe le abantu abethu siqalise ukuyakha and all that. That 40 cows could buy maybe a stand set and all that, in the study cell way too. So on the pricing I'm not saying what we would do kakhulu or we cheap kakhulu, but as we learn khona reasonable because in some cultures but khona ilobola the bride price yakhona it's to help our families ekhule. Like they build towards the wedding yakhona yomuntu lomngaki, something like that.
So the money goes
to the wedding, yes.
Not to the family.
Not to the family.
Or in some cultures. Huh?
Yeah, in some cultures.
When it comes to social media, I think it's now shaping also our perspective on what we feel is beautiful. And as African people, sometimes it doesn't really relate to what we are, Tina, and that's why we end up, trying to look a lot like other people. And one, I mean, case in point, you know, in Wele Land, what we try to what we've seen, even, you know, school out there, Barbie, you know, Tina, we really didn't have the black Barbies. I'm glad now to say the Siwa Conan. But, you know, silky hair, you know, light skin, also to their bleaching out here, you know, they're relaxing, we're always trying to, we wanted to have that standard of beauty that we were seeing, and yet now we have our own features, I mean, and sometimes it seems like our own features are but you know what's funny that I've seen, things have kind of shifted over the years. You know, the big bums that were considered not beautiful, and in other cultures, you now putting the big lips. You know, black people have big lips. I don't know why I was blue-ticked. But you know, amalips amakulu, the features of a black person really were considered not really the most attractive out there, but the people are now putting fillers on their lips, whatever it is, BBLs and all that, and
even the hairstyles, what kind of celebrities there in the global north, which we have actually some cornrows. That's us.
And yet now for the longest time, good to know, man. Like child, you know, you are built different. You are curvy.
You know what I noticed? I noticed Uguti other places really appreciate e-culture too, more than we appreciate it ourselves. If cultural exchange when I use our students, if there's students from Zimbabwe going to maybe Belarus, China, India and whatnot, they are so hungry for our culture. We can even sing a stupid song, maybe a kindergarten song in our local language, and they love it there because it's so different to them. They have their own Western world there, they are sick of it maybe, and they just want something different. But when we talk about local talent, we're not celebrating it enough, unlike because that's when we have our own artists going outside to look for recognition, and it's sad.
And then that's when we sing about when I say outside, you got the person's corner, wow.
Sometimes we don't even appreciate it. It's like you know, it's not even nice. I think it's so sad how we have our own cultures have taken a backseat to what we deem as nice and modern. You know, even how we speak, behind the scenes, a language here too, it might eventually start dying, guys. You know, kids these days get you know, our language is to ayafa. I'm not saying let's stop speaking in English. I mean, we still live in this global village. You know, you have to work. But also, let's try and preserve our own languages when we have kids. Whatever language it is that you speak. I remember seeing, I think a month back, please forgive me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it's the last living language speaking elder of the tribe of Kulumi language. There's no one else who's speaking.
She's the only one.
She's now the only one. Meaning Guti when she dies.
Yeah,
it's dying with her. Yeah. Like forever.
I don't believe she's the only one.
Well, that's what the documentary said. But language. I'm sure they've got many different languages. So maybe that particular language was the one that we were talking about. Because she's going to die with it. The language.
That's it.
Yeah, often guys, not only our languages. Our languages are taking a look at what China, Injani. Language, everything, even the scientific things, all Chinese name. But not only our languages, but we know guys. So this is smell or Kourtney Kardashian, which organic and all that. But we've got the organic things, we don't even care. Salads and all that, you know.
We actually have fresh produce than like other countries. Like hormones, Have you ever noticed people who go outside and they say the food was terrible? The food is not nice.
The food is not nice.
What we have here in Zimbabwe is precious. Fruits even eat dormant. Eat pure. Masli lokuza lapana, we don't have all these additives. Now the pan of black cat is I find that doing it out the way is so like guys and doing. So it's definitely good.
But I love this lecturer when Dr. Mahlangu, who is trying to do the thing in African food revolution now with the umkomo juice and all that. I brought Mama one of them. My mom is diabetic and she was like, yo, this is really, really nice. We're testing a video or something. I was like, yeah. These are the kind of things. Yeah, please.
There's also, I think there was a show last week, a site that was hosted here. I don't know if you know him. Like it goes around Kangilama cultural foods and practices of different tribes in Zimbabwe. Because people really think it's just show 90 really out here. I mean, it's not that.
No.
There's so much diversity. So I also like him for what he does. So guys, to round off, and I would like us to give some advice for young people about preserving our cultural identities. What can you say to the young person out there?
I think that as a young person, we should have pride in who we are. First of all, if you are confused like the rest of us, we have to go back to the roots, see who's this slice, we get down everything that we can get, the information that we can get from them, oral tradition, reading in all those history books that we have in the libraries at schools, going on the internet, and also on discussion platforms. I'm sure there's platforms on social media whereby they kind of revive that cultural heritage that we have.
If they're not there, we need them.
Yeah,
we can start them. You know, sometimes it becomes
an idea that popped up, yeah.
So I mean, I would love to say ukuthi kuma youth asihloniphenini abadala and indlela ekuzwa kwabaphambili. Those people are very much knowledgeable kakhulu ukuthi they've still got ulwazi lwezinye izinto lathi esingalwaziyo. So let's engage with them, and that is singama youth. I feel like with this lesana sokuthi khona uthiwa ningathola something or bekwazi something yokugcina ngiyi-1 ngihlalela khona ngiyi-1. Let's stop being selfish, guys. Let's share izinto, sibekwazi, sibe lolwazi, siphakamise i-Africa, siphakamise iZimbabwe, and we rise sisonke nini. There is a power in movement than ukuthi sihambe singa-1-1, you know.
True. Another one thing that I would like to be preserved, if it's still there, is Ubuntu, you know. I feel like as black people we had a spirit of togetherness. You know, you never walk alone. Liverpool. Just look at Liverpool. You never walk alone. You know someone's home will be your home. You never get into a house and stuff like that. But these days,
even Emma lifting, you know, when Gatti lifted Pioneer House, and no one is talking to anyone anymore. That day it was, hello, how are you, Linjani? Even if you didn't know the person, but everyone is on their phones, and there's kind of like.
No, but I would love to give you South Africa their flowers on that one.
No,
get a text in your salibonani and you like nothing hamilezing I had to go what is salibonani why because as a popular like
and get identity, so they're not lost.
That is true. That is true.
Lost because and stuff.
You know, you growing up. I think
they are still doing
airports,
I think it's attachment. It was hard to pass umuntu ungathanga ungathi salibonani angcono salibonani kuvina umbonela like exen nantamba masalibonani same person eplumtree they still have got that thing,
so it's now
you never ignore it
and never ignore but still meaningless.
Anyway guys, I thank you so much for coming through to the show. I really appreciate it, and I really hope we learn something at home. You know, let's love each other as Africans, you know. See, we are all we have this anyway, thank you so much, and you can leave Gugu and Angela some love and likes. You can comment, you know, show them some love, screenshot love. Until next week, bye bye.